My name is Kalle Konttinen, and I work as a senior lecturer at the University of Turku, Finland. And I'd like to tell you about how we use XTRF in our multilingual translation workshop. The workshop is a translation course that runs every year from January to December. So it's a 1 year long course. We started in January 2015, so we are currently running our 7th workshop. And XTRF has been a part of our workshop for 5 years now, so we are very grateful for having XTRF with us. And normally we work in a computer lab during the course, but due to COVID-19, we have been operating almost the whole year virtually now. And I must say it's not as much fun as face-to-face teaching, but the course has worked really well online as well, and the students have stayed with us, and the learning outcomes have partly been even somewhat better than in previous years, which I think may be a coincidence. So one of the features of our workshop is its heavy reliance on translation technology. We mainly use MemSource, but XTRF is used for project management as well. So in a translator education program, translation is, we feel, the most vital skill still. But to enhance our students' employability, much else is needed as well. Some of these critical skills include translation technology skills, project management skills, and entrepreneurship skills. And to develop these skills, we let our students run their own simulated translation companies within our course. In practice, this means that our students carry out 12 translation projects, write a business plan, and set up their translation process so that it meets the requirements of the ISO 17100 standard. So what exactly are translation company simulations? There are many examples in Europe by now. They include Tradutech that REN and Skills Labs are simulated translation bureaus, originally in Maastricht and now also in the 16 member universities of the International Network of Simulated Translation Bureaus. So this form of teaching is becoming a mainstream feature of translation education, I think. One definition for a simulation course is that they are fictitious enterprises in which translation students learn to work in small teams on authentic translation projects obtained from real or fictitious clients. So why do we teach project management, and where do we start? In today's world, it seems every professional needs management skills. You either are a project manager or you work with one. And how do we go about teaching project management? In our workshop, all students take turns as project management, so everyone has the chance to get a feel for the job and to find out if that's something that suits their nature. Technology is an essential part of project management, but we feel that it's best to start learning project management concepts using old school manual tools first, like spreadsheets for scheduling and price calculation, Google Drive for file management, for instance, and maybe Slack or email for communication. Our approach is learning by doing, and we We do teach during the course, but our teaching consists of short introductions on various topics. And after this introduction, the students go about the tasks themselves, and most of the work is self-guided. Project management can be quite complicated, especially if you are new to the task. And when learning how to use technology, we have noticed that sometimes task-based instruction is necessary as well. So it's not everything is free form and self-guided, but sometimes we decide that now it's time to give very, very specific instructions. One crucial feature of the course is that we let our students make their own mistakes, and we see these mistakes as opportunities for learning and reflection, and we give lots of feedback during the course. I must say that sometimes it's hard to find the right balance between students' independence and teacher support. So, and some monitoring will be necessary or always. But especially on online, in the online format, it can be quite hard to know what the students are up to in their learning environment. So what about the tools? We give our students a variety of tools to choose from, and they are really free to pick those tools they like and the tools that suit their company. Some necessary tool categories include technology for communication, for marketing, project management, translation production, business controlling, and data management. And while XTRF has most of these functionalities, we like to start first with simpler tools to build up the concepts and the understanding of the process first. And then something about how we introduce XTRF in the course. We do it when our course starts in January. We start with XTRF maybe in March or April, and after the students have run their first projects and have a feel of what is important in managing projects. Once the students understand the concept of workflow as it is defined in the ISO 17100 standard, they are basically ready to start learning to use XTRF. And as I said, we start with manual projects using spreadsheets, and then we move on to using MemSource for managing projects. We feel MemSource it's a somewhat simpler tool for project management. And if you already know how to use MemSource, it's easier to move on to using XTRF. After MemSource, we introduce a narrow set of XTRF functionalities using task-based learning. So we don't just send them in to use XTRF like we almost do with MemSource, but we instruct them. We use task-based instruction first, and finally, then we let our students carry out whole projects in XTRF. Here are some examples of XTRF training tasks we use for our students. We feel that it is essential to start with simple tasks. Also, it is vital to give the students clear instructions at the beginning. If the instructions are detailed and simple enough, we have noticed that students can carry out the tasks independently later. To help the students, we use checklists and make short videos that show how to do the tasks. And we like to ask the students to show concrete results from what they are doing, maybe screenshots or some results that shows us that they have managed to do the task. Online learning has its difficulties, of course. In a classroom, it's quite straightforward to check over the shoulder of the student that they are up to the task, but in an online environment, we need to rely on the work they hand in to know that they know what they are doing. Okay, some of the first tasks that we give our students include setting up new users and setting up new client profiles and vendor profiles. And we have started to give users very high rights to the XTRF platform. So they work as project managers or even administrators and see everything that can be done in the program. And in a way, it makes it more complicated for them. But I think it's good that they learn to know the whole environment. So when they have, as they have set up the new users and client profiles and vendor profiles, then we go on to price lists and price profiles. And at this stage, it can get quite demanding because the students need to understand something about pricing and profitability calculations for this stage to make any sense. But as we have been making such calculations for the simulated student company and using spreadsheets, they are mostly they have been up to this task. After taking care of these preliminary tasks, the students can then start setting up projects. There are two kinds of projects in XTRF, classic projects and smart projects. And it's really hard to say which is the better place to start. Starting with classic projects gives the students a better overview of all the things that need to be taken care of. But on the other hand, then smart projects are much simpler and the students are less likely to get confused. So it really depends on the student which type of project best suits to them. And in the final stage, the student companies then can start running projects and they take the roles of a project manager, in-house translator, and in-house reviser. First, using empty dummy files to be able to run through many project cycles quickly. And if their company then decides to use XTRF for project management in their later work, in later projects, then real project files are actually used then. So what can go wrong or what has gone wrong when we have worked with XTRF for these 5 years? So XTRF is a very versatile program, and I must say that for some students it can be quite overwhelming. To learn how to use XTRF, the students must have a grasp of the context of a translation business. Otherwise, they may learn to perform some tasks mechanically, but then they don't really understand what they are doing. So conceptual understanding of project management is very important here. On the other hand, it is crucial to keep it simple and, when possible, to narrow down the choices the students make when they are using XTRF. So this somehow clear instructions help if the conceptual understanding is limited, but then the learning results will not be that high, I must say. We use checklists, screenshots, and short videos to help the students to learn, and I think this has helped them to at least to go through the task and get tasks and get results. But there are really two groups of students. One group has very good understanding of how XTRF works, and some are able to do the basic tasks only. We have noticed that sometimes the students may come up with solutions that are not very practical for a translation business, but they somehow seem to work for their team. So it is very important for the teacher to monitor what the students are really doing, and not. Sometimes we have found out later that, okay, this has been the process they have been using, and it has not been the best way to do something. So finally, to stay safe, it may be advisable at first to let the students stay in a sandbox, so that XTRF doesn't send any email to real clients or anything like that. So once they are confident that, or we teachers are confident that they can manage, then we can use the email function as well, but that's at the later stage. So does our concept of translation company simulation work, and how are students doing? Here we can see that in 1 year, the students' self-confidence in project management and translation-related tasks has risen to new levels. On the left side, the blue dots show where they start in January, and at the end of the year, the red dots for the same students show how the project management self-efficacy or self-confidence in project management has risen. And I think it's quite impressive how much they feel they have learned about project management. They learn about translation as well. This is the vertical axis here. So, but the improvement is much greater in project management. So it would seem, at least for us, this works well, and XTRF has been a very important part of our workshop. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have if we have time. But it seemed to have used my time already.